She was writing in her own blood. 3 words on fabric. They're moving people. Before we dive deeper into what happened next, hit that like button and subscribe if stories like this pull you in. Drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. It's always amazing seeing how far these stories travel. The phone rings at 8 a.m. Marcus Rivera's hand knocks over a water glass before he finds it. His supervisor never calls this early unless someone's dead. "Marcus, I need you to sit down." His sister's name comes next, Elena. 8 years of silence, 8 years of wondering, 8 years of guilt. A mining crew found a white Ford F-150 in a cave near the Canadian border. "Marcus, the VIN matches Elena's vehicle." The room tilts. He's already pulling on clothes, already moving. "How long has it been down there?" The pause tells him everything. That's the concerning part. Despite supposedly being submerged for 8 years, there's minimal rust, minimal water damage. The forensics team believes it was placed there much more recently. If the truck was moved recently, someone's been covering their tracks all this time. Someone who's still out there. Marcus drives north through Washington Forest, urban sprawl giving way to evergreens and winding mountain roads. He's driven this route 100 times before, in those desperate months after Elena vanished, following every lead, checking every sighting. Elena and her partner Sarah Collins were investigating smuggling routes along the border. Drugs and people moving between British Columbia and Washington. Their last check-in was routine. Just another surveillance operation, then nothing. The GPS leads him to a gravel access road that didn't exist 8 years ago. Orange cones mark the command center, DEA vehicles, forensics teams in white coveralls, local law enforcement, the grim efficiency of people who deal with death regularly. Dr. Sarah Lindstrom meets him at the entrance, sharp eyes behind safety glasses. "Agent Rivera, I want to prepare you for what we've found." Inside the tent, 3 body bags lay on examination tables. "We've recovered 3 bodies from the cave," she explains. "We've confirmed one victim as Agent Sarah Collins through dental records. Her DEA badge was still on her person." Marcus feels his throat constrict. Sarah had a young daughter at home. Cause of death? Dr. Lindstrom pulls up X-rays on her laptop. Blunt force trauma to the skull. Injuries inconsistent with a vehicle accident. The pattern suggests deliberate strikes with a heavy object. This is homicide. Here's where it gets disturbing. The other 2 bodies, both female, significantly decomposed. No matches in missing persons databases yet. She pauses, studies his face. "Agent Rivera, I need to be clear. Agent Elena Rivera's body is not among those recovered." Relief and dread hit him simultaneously. If Elena wasn't in the cave with Sarah, what happened to her? Did she escape? Was she taken? Alive? Dr. Lindstrom shows him the truck through the cave opening. Powerful spotlights illuminate the cavern below. The white F-150 sits partially submerged, DEA markings still visible. He remembers Elena proudly showing off that truck, joking about finally getting a vehicle that could handle rough terrain. "The minimal water damage is puzzling," Dr. Lindstrom continues. "This cave system floods seasonally. If the truck had been here 8 years, we'd expect significantly more deterioration. Our assessment suggests 6 months at most." 6 months, not 8 years. Someone kept that truck hidden for nearly a decade, then dumped it recently. Marcus is checking the recovery manifest when a firm knock interrupts. 3 measured raps, authoritative, official. Through the peephole of his motel room, he sees a uniformed officer, tall, graying hair, campaign hat. "Agent Rivera, I'm Sheriff Wade Thompson, Cascade County." The handshake is firm but damp. "I apologize for the intrusion, but I have a time-sensitive matter regarding your sister's case." The sheriff's uniform is crisp, badge polished. Everything suggests professional competence, but something in his pale blue eyes seems off. a nervousness that doesn't match his bearing. I have a confidential informant who claims to have information about Elena, your sister. Marcus's pulse quickens. What kind of information? That's the complication. This individual has had negative experiences with federal agencies. They specifically requested to speak only with Elena's family member, not in any official DEA capacity. Warning bells. But Marcus keeps his voice neutral. Where is this informant? They're willing to meet at a location of their choosing, somewhere private. Thompson wipes sweat from his forehead despite the cool October weather. The discovery at the cave has people talking. Old secrets surface when bodies start appearing. Tell me what evidence was recovered today? Thompson leans forward, too interested. That's what I was hoping you could tell me. My department's been kept out of the loop. Were all 3 bodies identified? The sheriff's questions are too specific, too focused on evidence details rather than victims. They're still processing the scene. And Elena? Thompson's voice sharpens. Was her body among those recovered? There. A flash in his eyes when Marcus shakes his head. Relief. It appears and vanishes so quickly Marcus almost doubts he saw it. No. Elena wasn't in the cave. That leaves hope she might have survived. Thompson pauses. Tell me, will the forensics team be expanding their search? His response comes too quickly, too detailed. Standard procedure, grid expansion, cadaver dogs, ground-penetrating radar, thermal imaging drones. Few county sheriffs could outline DEA investigation protocols with such precision. After Thompson leaves, Marcus moves to the window, watches the sheriff sit in his patrol car for several minutes. Making what? Appears to be a heated phone call. Every instinct screams danger, but Marcus can't ignore it. Not if there's even a chance Thompson has real information about Elena. He pulls up the DEA archives, starts digging into the original investigation. Thompson's reports catch his attention. Remarkably detailed for someone claiming to have been off-duty that night. The sheriff's search recommendations created a corridor of unsearched territory along the Canadian border. Each exclusion justified with reasonable explanations. Too steep. Flooded. Secured private property. Marcus pulls up satellite imagery from 8 years ago. The impassable terrain shows clear trails. The flooded sections are bone dry. The secured property appears abandoned with no fencing. Then he finds it. James Carver, a game warden, filed a contradictory assessment 2 days after Thompson's. Noted well-established paths through the exact areas Thompson declared impassable. Mentioned recent vehicle tracks near the cave system. Carver's report was buried in supplemental files, never integrated into the main investigation. Marcus keeps digging. Missing persons databases for Cascade County. Past decade. Thompson's patrol areas. 17 missing persons cases. The state average for similar rural areas is 4 to 5. The victims show a pattern, mostly young women. Many immigrants are traveling alone. People whose disappearances might not trigger large-scale searches. Case after case bearing Thompson's signature. Likely voluntary disappearance. Probable border crossing. No evidence of foul play. But here's what nobody saw coming. Marcus pulls Thompson's duty logs from October 8 years ago. Official records show routine patrols, but fuel receipts tell a different story. Thompson logged 80 miles. The receipts show he burned through gas for 240 miles, triple the distance. Marcus finds raw cell tower data from the original investigation, data that was collected but never analyzed. He runs it through mapping software. At 11:47 p.m., approximately 2 hours after Elena's last check-in, Thompson's phone pinged a tower near the cave system, the same cave where the truck was just found. He remained in that area for over an hour. Then at 2:15 a.m., signals showed him heading north toward the Canadian border. Thompson was at the crime scene the night Elena and Sarah disappeared. hours before any missing persons report was filed, before anyone except their killer should have known something was wrong. Marcus copies files to an encrypted drive. Financial records showing Thompson living beyond a sheriff's salary, property records, 3 rental houses and a boat, all purchased with cash. Travel records showing frequent trips to Vancouver, always returning through remote border crossings. His phone buzzes. Thompson texting, "Informant agreed to meet. 5 p.m., Old Bracken Ridge Mill off Forest Road 47. Come alone or they won't show." The location is perfect for an ambush. Isolated. One access road. No cell coverage. But it's also exactly the kind of place where Elena might have been held. Marcus checks out a gray Honda Accord from the DEA motor pool. Civilian plates. He positions himself across from the sheriff's office at 3:25 p.m., changed into civilian clothes, baseball cap shadowing his face. Thompson emerges at 3:32. Different body language now. No nervous energy. He moves with purpose. Scanning the parking lot with practice sweeps. Marcus follows at a distance, 3-vehicle buffer. Thompson turns north onto Highway 20, then diverges onto logging roads, executing a textbook surveillance detection route, unnecessary turns, speed variations, pulling to the shoulder to force following vehicles to pass. The sheriff's heading toward the Canadian border, into the same wilderness where Elena and Sarah vanished. Thompson finally turns onto a rutted access road marked only by a recently cut chain. Marcus continues past, finds a concealed turnout a quarter-mile ahead. He grabs his binoculars and moves through the forest on foot. The trees open onto a clearing. The skeletal remains of Bracken Ridge lumber mill, but the site shows signs of recent activity, fresh tire tracks, new padlocks, security cameras. Through his binoculars, Marcus watches Thompson park near a cluster of vehicles, 2 pickups and a van with British Columbia plates. Recognition hits like a physical blow. Victor Clove, Chen Wei, Robert Tanner. Marcus knows these faces from DEA intelligence briefings. Suspected of running drugs and trafficking people through the border forests. The men who always slipped through law enforcement nets, now Marcus understands why. Thompson greets them like old friends. Clove produces a thick envelope. Thompson counts the contents, satisfied. The wind carries fragments of conversation. Increased federal presence since the cave discovery. They'll expand the search grid within days. Then we move everything tonight, the northern warehouse first. Chen Wei gestures angrily. This is too fast. We have product in transit. Would you rather explain to buyers or federal agents? Thompson interrupts. I'll handle the cleanup at the northern site, same as I did 8 years ago. 8 years ago, when Elena disappeared. What about the bodies in the cave? Tanner asks nervously. They won't identify the other 2, Thompson says firmly. Maria and her daughter aren't in any databases, just 2 more illegals who disappeared crossing the border. Maria and her daughter. The 2 unidentified bodies now have names. Thompson pulls out his phone. Yeah, it's me. We have a problem. The Rivera brother is asking questions. He was too interested in the evidence. How much do you think the DEA guy really knows about what happened to his sister? Marcus's name on the sheriff's lips feels like a target. He might be a problem that needs addressing. He's staying at the Cascade Ridge, room 12. Clove grabs Thompson's arm. No more federal agents. You killed 2. Look where we are now. I kept us safe for 8 years, Thompson snarls. If Rivera keeps digging, he'll find the northern site. Then we're all finished. Then we clear it tonight, Chen Wei says. Everything. Product, equipment, records. Burn what we can't move. And the merchandise? Tanner asks. Merchandise. People. Trafficking victims. Move them through the usual corridor, Thompson says. I'll make sure patrol units are elsewhere. We have maybe 6 hours before Rivera can mobilize any real search. Marcus retreats through the forest, his mind racing. He's found the conspiracy. A sheriff corrupted into facilitating drugs and human trafficking. Who murdered federal agents to protect the operation? But now they know he's a threat. They're accelerating their timeline. The northern site. That's where Elena was held. Where she might have died. Marcus reaches his vehicle. Checks for tracking devices. Finding nothing, he drives carefully back toward town using a different route. His phone shows no signal. Can't call for backup. The dashboard clock reads 4:47 p.m. He calls Agent David Chen the moment he gets signal. David, I need backup. Full tactical team. Highest priority. Marcus, what's your situation? Sheriff Wade Thompson is dirty. I've got photographic evidence of him meeting with known smugglers. Taking payoffs. They mentioned Elena, David. They're planning to clear out a warehouse tonight, moving trafficking victims? Jesus Christ, where are you exactly? Marcus rattles off his coordinates. Thompson's still on site with 3 suspects. Victor Clav, Chen Wei, Robert Tanner. I can mobilize a team, but Marcus... Chen pauses. You're in the middle of nowhere. It'll take at least an hour to reach you. An hour. In an hour, evidence could be destroyed. Victims moved. Any trace of Elena's fate erased forever. Do not engage alone. You're outnumbered and outgunned. Through his binoculars, Marcus watches Thompson stride toward his vehicle. The sheriff's entire demeanor has changed. Gone is the calculated calm. Now he moves with barely controlled panic. David, he's on the move. Thompson yanks open a concealed compartment behind the rear seat, pulls out documents, bundles of cash, a tactical shotgun, and AR-15. He's got an exit strategy prepared, documents, cash, heavy weapons. Which means he always knew this day might come, Chen says grimly. Marcus, fall back, wait for the team. But Thompson's phone rings. Through the binoculars, Marcus watches the sheriff's face contort with rage. He gestures wildly, shouts something inaudible, slams his phone against the patrol car's hood. Thompson throws the duffel bag into his vehicle and peels out, gravel spraying, heading north on a service road deeper into the forest. He's running, heading north. David? Marcus is already moving toward his Honda. He mentioned cleaning up a northern site like he did 8 years ago. He knows where Elena is. This might be my only chance. God damn it, keep your phone on. I'll track your GPS. Marcus pulls onto the service road, keeping Thompson's dust cloud visible without revealing his pursuit. The sheriff drives recklessly, taking curves at dangerous speeds. The route feels familiar. Thompson's following the old smuggling trails, the same routes Elena and Sarah were investigating 8 years ago. He's heading toward the sectors he marked as impassable during the original search, Marcus reports. The areas he steered us away from. His phone signal drops. 1 bar. 2. Gone. David? I'm on Forest Road 347, heading north toward... He rattles off coordinates from memory. If you lose me, start here. Marcus? Chen's voice crackles and dies. Now truly alone, Marcus continues pursuit. The sun sinks lower, painting the forest in deep oranges and shadows. After 15 minutes, Thompson's brake lights flare. Marcus kills his headlights, coasts to a stop behind thick pines. He grabs his tactical flashlight and extra magazines, checks his service weapon, exits the vehicle. The forest feels alive. Wind through needles, distant bird calls, the crack of cooling metal. Marcus moves carefully through underbrush. The trees open into a small clearing. Thompson's patrol car sits askew. Driver's door open. Interior light creating a small pool of illumination. The sheriff stands 20 feet away at a patch of ground that looks different. The earth slightly depressed. Vegetation younger and sparser. Thompson's digging frantically with a shovel from his trunk. His voice carries in the still air. Should have moved her years ago. Knew this would happen. Can't let them find this site. Marcus draws his Glock, steps into the clearing. Drop the shovel, Thompson. Hands where I can see them. The sheriff spins. His hand moves toward his holstered weapon. Don't, Marcus warns. It's over, Wade. But Thompson laughs, a broken sound with no humor. The grave? You think this is her grave? He shakes his head. Jesus, Rivera, you really don't understand what your sister stumbled into. Then explain it to me. Thompson lets the shovel fall, keeps his hand near his weapon. She was supposed to be routine surveillance, but Elena was too good, too persistent. She found the transfer point by accident. We were moving a shipment, drugs and girls. Sarah Collins tried to call it in. Went for her radio. His voice turns cold. Clove shot her before she could say a word. Clean shot to the head. She died instantly. And Elena? Elena was smarter. She tried to retreat, get back to their vehicle. But we couldn't let her go. Not after what she'd seen. The operation was too valuable. Millions in drugs. Dozens of girls moved through our corridor every year. Marcus's grip tightens on his weapon. You tortured her. For 2 months, Thompson admits flatly. Kept her in a shipping container we'd converted into. Cells. The bosses brought in a specialist. Someone who knew how to break people without killing them. But your sister? He shakes his head with something almost like admiration. Elena was tougher than anyone expected. Tell me everything. She escaped twice. First time she made it almost a mile through the forest before the dogs caught her. Left scratches on trees. Tried to create a trail. We had to move the entire operation. Thompson's hand inches toward his weapon. Second time, she actually managed to hide evidence, photos, documents she'd stolen, a bloody piece of her shirt with a note. Buried it in a cache she marked. That's what I'm digging up. Not her body. Her final fuck you to us. Where is she, Thompson? Where's Elena's body? You want to know how she died? Thompson's desperation morphs into cruelty. When she finally broke after weeks of interrogation, you know what information she gave us? Badge numbers from 5 years ago, outdated radio frequencies, patrol schedules that had changed 3 times. She played us, fed us worthless intel to buy time. Marcus hears engines in the distance, still faint, but growing closer. Thompson hears them too, his panic returning. We realized she'd never give us anything useful. The specialist wanted to sell her. Said she'd bring good money in certain markets. Federal agent as a trophy, but she'd seen too many faces. Knew too much. His voice drops. So I handled it myself. 1 shot, back of the head. Same as her partner. She died brave, if that matters. Never begged, never stopped fighting. Where is her body? Thompson smiles coldly. Where do you think? We had a crematorium for problems like her. No body, no evidence, no closure for families who asked too many questions. Your sister's been dead for 8 years, Rivera. The sound of vehicles grows louder. Thompson's hand moves for his weapon, but the forest around them suddenly comes alive with movement. 2 men emerge from the trees, armed with rifles, moving to flank Marcus. Drop the weapon, Fed! Marcus tries to swing his Glock toward the new threat. A rifle butt catches him in the temple. Stars explode across his vision. He falls to his knees. His weapon is kicked away. Hands roughly search him. Through blurred vision, Marcus sees Thompson standing over him. You should have left this alone, Rivera. You could have lived with uncertainty. Now you'll die just like your sister did, fighting for nothing, saving no one. Darkness rushes up to meet him, but he hears something else. Engines, growing louder, closer than Thompson realizes. Chen's team, following his trail, racing against time. The last thing he registers before consciousness fades is Thompson's curse of recognition. The sheriff finally understanding that Marcus hadn't come alone after all. Consciousness returns in waves, each bringing fresh pain from the rifle strike to his temple. The world sways and bounces. He's in the back of a van, hands zip-tied, behind him, shoulder pressed against cold metal flooring. Through clearing vision, Marcus makes out two figures, the men who ambushed him. They sit on wheel wells, rifles across their laps. Discussing logistics in English and Russian, Marcus forces himself to focus, to observe, to remember, memorize everything, survive now, testify later. 20 minutes of observation gives him a mental map of landmarks, a rusted water tower, a bridge over a creek, a burned-out gas station, a distinctive rock formation, breadcrumbs that might lead rescuers to him, if he lives long enough to share them. The warehouse complex materializes from the forest, corrugated metal and broken concrete. What was once a thriving lumber facility now serves a darker purpose: fresh tire tracks, security cameras on new posts, windows painted black from inside. Air conditioning units unusual for an abandoned building. They drag him from the van, his legs unsteady from the head injury. The main warehouse door opens. The stench hits first: human waste, unwashed bodies, fierce sweat. Something chemical underneath. Industrial lighting illuminates a space divided by chain-link fencing into makeshift cells. Each cage holds multiple victims, mostly young women and teenage girls, some barely older than children. They huddle together on thin mattresses, many showing bruises, torn clothing, the hollow-eyed look of those who've learned that screaming brings only punishment. Madre de Dios, one girl whispers, pressing against the fencing. Others shrink back, conditioned to fear any new arrival. Along the far wall, at least 50 kilos of heroin in vacuum-sealed packages, boxes marked with pharmaceutical symbols, a sophisticated drug packaging station, industrial presses, and scales. This isn't just human trafficking, it's a full-spectrum criminal enterprise where human beings are just another commodity. Thompson's already there, engaged in heated discussion with Clove. "This is insane, Thompson. A federal agent? You bring federal agent here?" "We had no choice. He was at the burial site. He knows about Elena Rivera, about the whole operation. Then we kill him now, dump body across border." "Wait," Chen Wei interrupts. "First we find out what he knows, who he told. If DEA team is coming, we need to know how much time we have." Marcus is shoved into a reinforced storage room, little more than a closet with a heavy door. His phone, weapon, badge, and wallet are stripped away, tossed onto a desk, outside. They leave his hands zip-tied, apparently confident the door and guard will be sufficient. Through the door's small window, Marcus watches them argue. Thompson wants to execute him immediately. Clove worries about moving dozens of victims across the border. Chen Wei mentions something about enhanced interrogation. The guard they posted looks barely 20. Nervous sweat on his forehead, clutching an AK-47 knockoff. Marcus watches him through the window, notes how he keeps checking his phone, how his attention wanders to activity in the main warehouse. Time is critical. Chen's team would reach the burial site, find Thompson's abandoned car, signs of struggle. But without GPS coordinates, they'd have to search dozens of possible locations. The young guard steps away, called to help load victims into a transport truck. This is Marcus's chance. The storage room has metal shelving units. Marcus finds what he needs: a bracket with a sharp edge where paint has chipped away. He works his zip ties against it, plastic biting into his wrists, blood making his hands slippery. The pain is excruciating, necessary. After 5 minutes, the ties finally part. Marcus quickly scans the room for weapons. Only cleaning supplies and old paperwork. Through the window, he sees the guard's jacket hanging on a chair, his phone visible in the pocket. The main warehouse bustles with activity, attention focused on logistics rather than their prisoner. Moving silently, Marcus eases the door open. The jacket is 3 feet away. He grabs the phone, powers it on. Dials Chen's number from memory. 1 ring. 2. The guard is returning, talking to another trafficker. Chen. Warehouse. Trafficking victims. GPS on this phone. Marcus whispers urgently. Multiple hostages. Heavy weapons. The guard rounds the corner, his eyes widening in shock. Marcus grabs a metal pipe from the shelving unit, swings hard, catches the young man across the temple. He crumples, his weapon clattering on concrete. Marcus snatches the AK-47, checks the magazine. Full, safety off. He can hear shouting from the main warehouse, someone calling for the guard. Through the doorway, he sees traffickers hurrying victims toward transport vehicles. The math is brutal. 1 federal agent with a borrowed weapon against at least 6 armed traffickers, with dozens of innocent lives in the balance. But Marcus also hears something else. Distant, growing closer. Engines. Multiple vehicles approaching fast, without sirens. Chen's tactical team, running dark and silent. A trafficker appears in the doorway, reaching for his sidearm. Marcus fires a controlled burst, drops him before ducking back into cover. The warehouse erupts in shouts and movement. "Federal agent!" Marcus yells. "Drop your weapons!" The response is automatic weapons fire that shreds the doorframe above his head. But his announcement has the intended effect. Pandemonium. Some traffickers run for exits. Others take defensive positions. Crucially, they stop loading victims into vehicles. Marcus moves toward the cages, keeping low. A teenage girl, maybe 16, is pressed against the chain link, tears streaming down her face. "Por favor, ayúdenos." "Stay down," Marcus orders in Spanish. "Help is coming. Everyone get low, away from the walls." Thompson's voice booms across the warehouse. "Rivera, you just signed their death warrants. We'll kill every witness before your backup arrives." Marcus sees Clav moving toward the cages, rifle raised, ready to execute the witnesses. Without hesitation, Marcus breaks cover, fires as he moves. His burst catches Clav in the shoulder, spins him around. Return fire forces Marcus behind a concrete pillar. Chips of cement sting his face. The warehouse's main door explodes inward. DEA, federal agents. The tactical team pours in, weapons trained, moving with practiced precision. The traffickers, caught between Marcus and the team, make desperate choices. Some surrender immediately, dropping weapons, raising hands. Others choose to fight. The air fills with cordite and thunder. Marcus stays low, trying to cover the victim's area. He sees Chen Wei attempting to flank the tactical team, fires, forces him back. Then burning pain lances through his left arm, a through-and-through that spins him sideways. Through the chaos, he sees a trafficker raising his weapon toward the cages, toward a young girl who can't be more than 14. Without thinking, Marcus throws himself forward, shields her with his body. The weapon fires. He feels the impact in his vest, bruising ribs, but stopping penetration. Clear. Suspect down. Medic. The tactical team's calls indicate the fight is ending. Marcus stays positioned over the girl until he hears Chen's voice directly above him. "Jesus, Marcus, you're hit." "The victims?" Marcus gasps, rolling aside. "Check the victims first." The girl he'd shielded is sobbing, clutching his good hand with both of hers, whispering, "Gracias," over and over. Around them, federal agents are cutting locks, opening cages, calling for additional medical support. The warehouse that had been a chamber of horrors is transforming into a rescue operation. Thompson is on the ground in cuffs, blood seeping from a leg wound. Clav is unconscious, being treated by medics. Chen Wei didn't survive the firefight. In total, 3 traffickers dead, 4 in custody. More importantly, Marcus counts 32 victims being led to safety, 32 lives that will continue. As a medic works on his arm, Marcus watches the victims being wrapped in blankets, given water, treated with dignity they'd been denied. Some look around in disbelief, unable to process that their nightmare is ending. Others weep with relief, or sit in shocked silence. "This is just one site," Thompson says from where he lies, his voice bitter. "You have no idea how deep this goes." "Then you'd better start talking," Chen interrupts, standing over him, "because your only chance at avoiding a death sentence is full cooperation." Marcus closes his eyes, lets the medic work. They'd saved these victims, stopped this operation, but Elena was still gone. Still, he can almost hear his sister's voice in the warehouse, see her fierce determination in the rescued girl's surviving eyes. She would have been proud of this moment, even if she couldn't share it. The forensics team mobilizes to return to the burial site. Dr. Lindstrom is already en route with ground-penetrating radar. "Thompson said she wasn't there," Marcus says, his voice raw, broken. "Said they cremated her." "Thompson says a lot of things," Chen replies gently, "but he was digging for something. Let's find out what." The convoy moves through darkness, tactical vehicles, forensics vans, ambulances carrying the most traumatized victims to hospitals. Thompson rides in an armored transport, his leg wound treated, his rights read. His career and freedom conclusively ended. Marcus rides with Chen, a medic monitoring his vitals. He stares out at the dark forest, every mile bringing him closer to answers he both craves and dreads. The clearing looks different in harsh illumination of portable spotlights. Thompson's patrol car remains where he abandoned it. The half-dug hole a dark wound in the earth. Dr. Lindstrom is already directing equipment setup, her team moving with careful precision. "Agent Rivera, you should be in a hospital." "After," Marcus says simply. She nods, understanding the weight of the moment. "We're detecting metallic objects approximately 4 feet down, consistent with tactical gear. The soil disturbance pattern suggests burial approximately 8 years ago. Not cremated, not destroyed." Thompson had lied about that final detail. Marcus watches as the forensics team begins careful excavation. Layer by layer, the earth gives up its secrets. The first discovery is a tactical vest, DEA letters still visible despite years underground. Then, with infinite care, the remains of Special Agent Elena Rivera are revealed to the night air. Marcus falls to his knees beside the grave, his injured arm forgotten, tears flowing freely. "Elena," he whispers, reaching out with his good hand but not quite touching. "I'm sorry it took so long. I'm so sorry." Dr. Lindstrom crouches beside him, her professional demeanor softened by compassion. The skeletal evidence confirms prolonged captivity, healed fractures consistent with torture, defensive wounds on the hands. She pauses. "But Marcus, look here." Single gunshot wound to the back of the head. It would have been instantaneous. A small mercy in an ocean of cruelty. When they finally decided to kill her, at least it had been quick. The excavation continues. Beneath Elena's remains, they find what Thompson was desperate to recover: a plastic-wrapped bundle, preserved against the elements. Inside are photographs of the trafficking operation, documents stolen from Thompson's office, and a blood-stained piece of fabric with Elena's handwriting. "Elena Rivera, DEA Special Agent, badge number 3847, taken alive October 15th, Sarah Collins murdered at scene, Sheriff Wade Thompson involved. Trafficking operation, warehouse 3 miles north of Brackenridge Mill. They're moving people and drugs. Please tell Marcus I fought. Tell him I never gave them anything real. Tell him I'm sorry." Marcus clutches the note. His sister's last words breaking something inside him. She apologized. After enduring 2 months of torture, maintaining operational security, gathering evidence even while captive, she apologized, as if she'd failed somehow. "She saved them," Marcus says, looking at the note, then at the lights of ambulances carrying victims to safety. 32 people are alive tonight because she never gave up. Thompson's full confession comes over the next hours. The trafficking ring operated for over a decade, moving drugs south and people north, using law enforcement intelligence to avoid detection. Elena Rivera was never supposed to be there, Thompson admits. She deviated from her assigned patrol route. Following a hunch, found our transfer site by accident. Collins went for her radio immediately. Clove didn't hesitate. But Rivera, she tried to retreat, to de-escalate. Professional to the end. The interrogation reveals the full scope. 2 other corrupted officials in Border Patrol, a network of safe houses, routes that shifted based on law enforcement patterns. The 2 unidentified bodies in the cave are confirmed as Maria Gonzalez and her 9-year-old daughter Anna, who died from intentional overdoses when they tried to escape during transport. We dumped the truck 6 months ago, Thompson explains. Original hiding spot was being developed. Construction crews getting too close. Figured the cave would hold it until we could destroy it properly. 5 additional burial sites are revealed, each containing victims who'd resisted or become liabilities. Families who'd waited years for news would finally have answers, bodies to bury, some measure of closure. As dawn breaks over the forest, Elena's remains are carefully removed for proper burial. Marcus stands vigil throughout, speaking quietly to his sister, updating her on their parents, on the lives she'd saved, on how her sacrifice had meaning. "You ready?" Chen asked gently as the coroner's van prepares to depart. Marcus takes one last look at the clearing, where his sister had been hidden for 8 years, where she'd used her final moments of control to hide evidence that would eventually destroy her killers, where Thompson thought darkness and earth could bury truth forever. She fought, Marcus says. Elena's note carefully folded in his pocket. Even at the end, even when she knew she would die, she fought to leave something behind, to save others. He finally accepts the paramedics' ministrations, lets them guide him to an ambulance. As they drive toward the hospital, Marcus watches the sun rise over the Washington forest, painting the trees in gold and shadow. Somewhere behind them, crime scene tape marks places of horror. Ahead, 32 survivors are beginning their journey back to lives interrupted. Elena is gone, has been gone for 8 years. But her determination to protect and serve outlived her body, waited, buried in dirt and darkness, until her little brother could finish what she started. Thompson will die in prison. The trafficking network is shattered. Lives are saved. It's not justice. Nothing could be. Not after what Elena endured. But it's resolution. It's truth finally dragged into light. It's the best Marcus could do with the time he was given that his sister was not. And maybe that's enough. Thanks for watching. That was today's story. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more untold mysteries every week. Drop a comment below and tell us where you're from. Your city might get a shout out in the next video. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.